Black people were raised to just pray about it, just go to church. And yes, that's helpful, but you got to do more than that. I was the closest to God when I was at my lowest point. I was going to church, I was tithing, I was reading my Bible, I was praying every day, listening to gospel every day. And you know what I was doing at night? Crying. You know what I was doing on the weekends? Isolating myself. That didn't change anything. You know what did change? You know what did help? When I got up, when I started going to therapy, when I started talking about my feelings, when I started journaling, when I started making these videos. I was a determining factor. I had to get up and make the change. It wasn't enough for me to just sit back and pray. It's okay to have both. You could have Jesus and you could have therapy. You don't have to choose. You can use both. I promise. It's okay. It's okay, y'all. It's okay. Hey guys, it's Lisa Charnay, and this is the last video of my series, Hurt to Heal. Thank y'all for sticking around with me. Thank y'all for being supportive, and thank y'all for taking this journey with me. So let's just get straight to it. Black mental health matters. I don't know what it is, but Black people act like we can't go to therapy. No, you're not crazy if you want to go and sit and talk to somebody. You're not crazy. That's the smartest thing you could do for yourself, for others around you, for your future children, or your children if you already have them. You got to get your mental health together. It's so many broken people walking around, it's not even funny. And the crazy thing about therapy is when you start healing yourself, when you start going through the healing process, you can see the hurt in others. That's been the weird part about this whole process. I look at people differently now. It's like I don't take things as personal. I don't get as irritated as I used to by certain behaviors because the underlying issue is usually something that person just never dealt with. Like a lot of times when people are rude for no reason or they just have a bad energy around them, they never smiling, they always look mean, they always got something smart to say, it's usually not a reflection on you. It's them. They're carrying something inside of them that they haven't dealt with, and they want to make other people feel how they feel. Also, there's certain behaviors that you learn to overlook, like attention seeking is a big thing. I hate that with a passion. I hate anybody that just constantly seeks attention, always want to be in the spotlight, always want praise for stuff that they're supposed to do. But really what that comes down to is you never know. They probably never got told that they were good at anything growing up. You don't know how their parents treated them. You don't know if they were invisible in their household, so they do things to get attention because they just want to feel that acceptance or they want validation. Like, you don't know. And going to therapy, it makes you think about those things. So you're kinder to yourself, but you're kinder to others as well. You show more empathy, and that's important because we deal with so many people on a day-to-day, and everybody is carrying their own hurt, their own baggage. You don't know someone's story. You don't know the reason why they do the things they do. And, it's important to think about before you react to certain things. And that's why I want to encourage everybody, get some help. It's that simple. You know how much I pay for therapy? $25. I have a $25 copay with my insurance. It's like just like getting a physical or getting a pap smear. Like, it's like going to the doctor. You go to the doctor for anything else. If you're sick or you break something, you're going to go to the doctor and get that fixed. So why would you hold on to all this hurt? If you're hurt inside, why wouldn't you think, hey, let me go to the doctor and get fixed? It's the same concept. It's the same. You shouldn't be embarrassed for wanting to better yourself. There's nothing to be ashamed of. It's nothing to hide. It's necessary. And I know it could be scary because I was in denial for a long time before I actually made my appointment. And I had myself convinced that I could do it myself. But I don't know, it was just something about making that appointment that just changed. Because I was already making I was already, I did a lot of self-reflection before I even went to my first therapy appointment. Like at least 5 months. I was depressed for at least 5 months before actually making my appointment. And I spent all of that time really thinking back to, the certain things that I went through and what I was actually dealing with. And I knew my issues before going in, but it wasn't until I actually started therapy that everything came together. Like it was the missing link. I couldn't do it all myself. I made a lot of progress on my own, and I did a lot of the legwork. Even in therapy, you still have to do the legwork, but you just having someone there that's not biased, that can just provide that support, give you a safe place to speak your mind and to not judge you. It's a judge-free, no judgment zone. You can say whatever. You're not gonna shock your therapist, I promise. No matter what you're going through, they've heard it all before. So you don't have to feel like you have to put on a certain front. If you talk to your friends or your family, it might be some things that you're gonna be ashamed to say. But with a therapist, that's your time to really let everything out. And it helps to have that other opinion. It really does. That's the main thing I want to promote on my channel is therapy, getting your mental health together. It makes so much difference. Like, I wish I would have did this years ago. Ain't no telling where I would have been by now. But I'm excited for my future, and I'm excited for what's going to happen now that I have this new outlook, because it's made all the difference. I started therapy the beginning of June, I believe. And it's the end of August, and I feel like a completely different person. I'm not the same in a good way, in a great way. And I just want it for everybody around me. Like, I want everybody to get this help. I want everybody to really explore themselves. Figure out what's hurting you. What are you still holding on to? What's holding you back? Because it's so freeing when you let that stuff go. Now I feel like I can do anything. I feel like I have a new start. I'm not worrying about what happened before. I'm only focused on the future. And I'm just happy, man. I mean, people around me have noticed the change. I've noticed the change. And it's such a great feeling. I want everybody to experience this. It's so freeing. I can't even put it into words, but it was so worth it. When I made my first video, y'all remember I was so frustrated. I didn't know what direction I was going in. I was tired. I was feeling like therapy wasn't working for me. I was feeling like no one understood me. And look at me now. Like, I really have a clear vision on where I want to go. I feel like I'm finding out what my purpose in life is. And I actually put steps in place to help me reach those goals, which is a big step up from when I first started. I had no idea what I wanted to do or, what I wanted to really get out of this. I was just going with the flow. Now I feel like I have a better sense of my life and what I want to accomplish and where I want to go from here. And I know for a fact I wouldn't have had this if I had never went to therapy. I would have still been stuck. I would have still been dealing with my depression. And not saying that it goes away, but now I have better tools. Now I have better tools to use when I'm going through an episode. Like, for example, I remember telling my mom that I've been feeling good, even my therapist, because I had an appointment that day. And I was saying how the past 2 weeks have been smooth. I had a couple instances where I felt my energy shift, but I was able to pull myself back, so I was feeling good. And I literally woke up the next day and couldn't get out of bed the next morning. I didn't want to leave. I didn't make it to work. And I didn't have any motivation to do anything. But it also wasn't as bad. Usually if I have a breakdown, I'm crying uncontrollably and I don't know what's wrong. And I'm just angry and I isolate myself. But this time was just different. Yeah, I knew my energy was off, so I know, okay, take some time to yourself. Chill out. Explore exactly what's bothering you. So I was able to do that. And by the end of that day, I went grocery shopping. I cooked. I made a to-do list for the rest of that week and accomplished that. So I was able to turn it around. And that's the difference. You're still going to have your moments. It doesn't go away. It's not a cure, at least not, so soon. But I just know how to handle it now. I'm more in touch with my feelings. I can tell right away when my mood is off, and I fix it then instead of letting it build up. You don't have to have deep trauma to go to therapy either. I had surface level issues. Bullying, self esteem issues, and bad dating habits. That's mostly everybody that I know. It was nothing deeper than that. And I still benefited from it. And I guess that's what took me so long to realize that I actually had trauma, because we're used to trauma being like, rape, child abuse, things like that. But you can go to therapy for less severe things. Anything that's troubling you is helpful. Anything that's troubling you, you can go and talk to somebody. Anything that affects you, hurts you, holds you back, affects the way you see others, affects your relationships with other people, that's trauma. If it changed you, and if it's still hurting you, it's trauma. And if it had the ability to affect you and to affect your life, then it's worth figuring out. It's worth fixing. And if you're not going to do it for yourself, do it for your kids. Again, do it for the people around you. These people got to deal with you. You can't just go through life saying, well, that's just the way I am. No, fix that. That's not your true self. That's your front. That's your guard that you put up. That's not really you. And that's not fair to others to have to deal with that, because you don't want to face what you're dealing with. You don't want to be that person that's bitter because they don't have anybody around them, or because people keep walking in and out their life. If you got issues, nobody's obligated to deal with those with you. They not. And you can't be mad at nobody but yourself in that situation. So, make a decision. It won't hurt. Try it once. And then if you don't like it from there, you can move on. But at least try it. It's so worth it, man. And I just want it for everybody. So just consider it if you haven't before. Think about it, and think about how it could improve your life, and how good it'll feel to finally get that weight off your shoulders. Something to think about. Black people were raised to just pray about it. Just go to church. And yes, that's helpful, but you got to do more than that. I was the closest to God when I was at my lowest point. I was going to church. I was tithing. I was reading my Bible. I was praying every day, listening to gospel every day. And you know what I was doing at night? Crying. You know what I was doing on the weekends? Isolating myself. That didn't change anything. You know what did change? You know what did help? When I got up, when I started going to therapy, when I started talking about my feelings, when I started journaling, when I started making these videos. I was a determining factor. I had to get up and make the change. It wasn't enough for me to just sit back and pray. It's okay to have both. You can have God and you can have therapy. You don't have to choose. You can use both. I promise. It's okay. It's okay, y'all. It's okay. Use every tool that you have. Don't just sit back. Things didn't start changing for me until I made the change. Change your mindset. Stop thinking negative. Stop playing victim. Be active. But it's not okay to carry this hurt around. We got to do better. Black mental health, it matters. But that's it. We've reached the end. I'm proud of myself for sticking to this, because I'm very indecisive, but I finished it, and y'all stood by me during this process, and I thank y'all for it, and I hope you enjoyed it and got something out of it. And this is not it for me. I'm going to continue to make these videos, so stay tuned, and thank y'all. Bye.